Welcome to our last session as we prepare our hearts and minds for the season of Advent. Over the past 3 weeks, we've talked about a lot of different things. First, we talked about the promise that God made through the prophets that a Messiah would come. Next week, we talked about how hard it is to wait and to be patient. The Israelites waited several hundred years for their Messiah to come, and even when he did, they didn't see him. And then last week, we talked about preparing, and we used John the Baptist as an example. And as he quoted the prophet saying, "I'm going to make the hills low and the valleys high, preparing the way for the Lord." Despite all their waiting and their minds being prepared for this Messiah, the Israelites still weren't ready when Jesus actually showed up. The book of Luke tells us the story of Jesus' birth by telling us that Mary and Joseph had arrived at Bethlehem, but there was no room for them at the inn. And so Jesus was born in a manger, basically a feed box for cows. It's like Bethlehem didn't even have any idea that their Savior was being born right there in their city. It all reminds me of a parable that Jesus tells in Matthew 25. There are these 10 girls, virgins, who are waiting for the bridegroom to come. Each of them has a lamp with oil in it, and 5 of them brought extra oil, but 5 of them just came with what they had. And so all throughout the night, they're waiting for this bridegroom to finally make his appearance, and they all fall asleep. Well, when the bridegroom finally does arrive, the 5 foolish girls realize that they're out of oil, and so they have to run to the store to go buy more. And when they do, they miss the entrance into the banquet, and so they're locked out at the end. I think what Jesus is trying to tell us there is that we need to be prepared. We need to be ready when he comes. Paul, in one of his letters to the Thessalonians, said no one knows how or when Jesus will come back. He'll come back like a thief in the night. And so I think, like those girls in the story that Jesus tells, we need to be ready. We need to be prepared. And so as we wait in this Advent season, are you prepared? Are you prepared for the coming of Jesus? In the Christmas song, "Joy to the World," there's a line that says, "Let every heart prepare him room." It's almost like the writer is pointing it out to us that Bethlehem made a mistake. There wasn't any room for Jesus when he showed up the first time. So as he arrives this time, let every heart prepare him room. I think that brings up a really interesting thought. What things are crowding Jesus out of your heart this Advent season? Do you have room for him when he actually does arrive? Maybe there's some things that you need to relinquish to God as we prepare for Christmas. Let's prepare room in our hearts for Jesus this Advent season. We have just a few days left. So what are some things that you need to get out of your heart to allow Jesus in? Let's prepare. Let's make room for Jesus as we approach the manger, as we approach Christmas, as we welcome our newborn King.